The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 14th day of March, 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindos. I'm Jamel Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. It is Monday. We are following some breaking news out of the UK, so Leanna may be a part of this show. Well, I think almost the entire ride. We've got some things happening in the Privy Council, but first off, we forgot to do something last week, Sherry, and we're all suffering from it today. We forgot to speak about the time springing forward.
What is there to talk about? Look at my face. Like, I am not happy about this at all.
Sherry, no,
I'm not.
So do you have an alarm and then snooze?
Yes, I do. I have an alarm, and then sometimes I push snooze, but I then have a second alarm just in case that I made sure that I set last night because I took it off for whatever reason. But yeah.
You know, what was crazy, Sherry, is I honestly don't need an alarm, but when the time changes, your body is not used to that new time. So I have two set alarms on my phone. So if I miss the one alarm, then it's not about snooze. I turn that off. The other alarm rings a half an hour later. But my watch also has an alarm. My watch alarm is supposed to buzz on me. It didn't buzz this morning, or I didn't feel it because I'm like, a brother was sleeping. It's supposed to be like 4 a.m., not 5 a.m. right now. You know what I'm saying?
This is what I'm saying. And I'm just like, when that second one, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And exercise went out the window, but I'm gonna try to get it together for tomorrow morning.
I will say, I did run my fastest mile this morning on less sleep. I did. I was 9:23. I was like, my goodness, Jamel, what was that? And I think it was guilt because I woke up so late that I had to get back to get ready for the show. So I'm like, man, don't you remember this? Because you're going to be trying to do this every day. And I was, it didn't go too well after. So I was like, man, hope nobody sees me. I was gasping for air. But anyway, good morning, everyone. And thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as we begin the week. We're expecting the Privy Council ruling, as mentioned, regarding the right to marry for people of the same sex in Bermuda. This ruling could change Bermuda as we know it, depending on the results. So we're going to follow it closely. The Daily Play is a Who Said It. So Sherry's guessing the author of a famous quote, and we have faith in Sherry. How much? Well, yeah. Let's bring up...
lack of sleep. That's what that was.
Oh, that's what you're going to blame on it? All right.
No, what your response just now, your rudeness. Yes, you're tired, as a parent would say.
No, Sherry. No. Jamel's not being rude. So, folks, we're going to actually click in to see if they're live yet.
The majority, Lord Reed, Lady Arden, Dame Victoria Sharp, and I, while recognising the profound significance of marriage and the historical background of the denigration and victimisation of gay people, hold that Section 8 does not impose on the state an obligation to give legal recognition to same-sex marriage. This is because Section 8 prohibits the state from hindering the enjoyment of freedom of conscience, including the manifestation of a person's thoughts and beliefs. Drawing on the jurisprudence of the European Convention on Human Rights, which has had a profound influence on the Bermudian Constitution, the majority identify two ways of analysing the matter. The first approach is the view that the belief is within the ambit of and is protected by Section 8, but that Section 53 doesn't prevent the respondents from holding, manifesting, and arguing in support of their belief that the law should recognise same-sex marriage. Nor does the legislation prevent ministers of religion from recognising such marriages as a matter of religious practice. The second line of reasoning, which is also derived from that jurisprudence, is that the belief in the legal recognition of marriage is not within the scope of Section 8 in the first place. Lord Sales, in his dissenting opinion, considers that the respondents' beliefs are protected and that that protection extends to an obligation on the state to give legal recognition to same-sex marriage. The belief, he holds, is a conscientiously held belief as to how they should live, involving a moral obligation to enter into marriage with their partner. The state has a duty of neutrality as between different conscientious beliefs, and a range of courts around the world have concluded that same-sex couples have a fundamental right to marry equivalent to that of opposite-sex couples. Section 8, in his view, entitles same-sex couples to have their committed relationships given legal recognition as marriage, and that the right to marry is implicit in the Constitution as an aspect of Section 8.
Gay and another appellants, and the Governor of the Cayman Islands and another respondents, Cayman Islands.
Lord Sales will hand down this opinion.
This is an appeal from the Cayman Islands. The point in issue is whether the Constitution of the Cayman Islands confers a constitutional right to legal recognition of same-sex marriages, which cannot be abrogated by the legislature. This depends upon the interpretation of the provisions of the Bill of Rights set out in the Constitution. The appellants are two women who are in a committed relationship and wish to enter into a same-sex marriage recognised in law. In 2018, they were refused a licence to marry on the grounds that the marriage law in the Cayman Islands defines marriage as the union between a man and a woman as husband and wife. The appellant started legal proceedings claiming that the marriage law, which is ordinary legislation, was incompatible with their constitutional rights set out in the Bill of Rights. The constitutional rights set out in the Bill of Rights are binding as against the legislature in the Cayman Islands and have legal force superior to that of ordinary legislation. The Bill of Rights is modelled on the scheme and the provisions of the European Convention on Human Rights, which is also applicable to the Cayman Islands. The Bill of Rights contains provisions for protection of private and family life, which is Section 9, for conscience and religion, which is Section 10, and against discrimination, which is Section 16. All of these are equivalent to provisions in the European Convention. But for present purposes, the most important provision of the Bill of Rights is Section 14, which specifically deals with the topic of marriage.
And it looks like the ruling for Bermuda may have been done before Cayman Islands, but we didn't exactly catch what the ruling was going to be. We did get some comments, so we'll be waiting to see what the actual ruling was. Hopefully Leanna can bring it to us during the news break. But from what you heard from the last couple of people in there, it sounded favorable.
Yeah.
That for people who were in favor of legalizing the right to marry for people of the same sex, it definitely sounded favorable. Obviously, right now they're focusing on the Cayman Islands case. So both today, it's being decided for both Bermuda and the Cayman Islands about the right for same-sex couples to marry. If you're just tuning in, we were following the result in the Privy Council. I guess the question of this morning to the audience is, what do you believe the Privy Council ruling means for Bermuda either way? What do you think that ruling of couples of the same sex being able to marry, what does that mean for Bermuda?
And you mean and the question meaning for Bermuda as a whole, not necessarily your thoughts on whether this is
A country,
oh
yeah, a country.
right. Okay. I wanted to establish
Mhm.
that real quick. Um, I just feel like as for a country, it allows people to um be free and be able to do what they want to do. For a country, I definitely say it sets a precedence for others um that feel that it would definitely be an economic push if I'm saying that correctly, Jamal, as far as people feeling that they can come to the island to of course get married and live the life that they want to live.
Well, it's interesting. Seems like the. I mean, I don't. Again, we didn't get to see the entire ruling,
Right.
folks. And what I will say, look, and I'm going to be very direct here. This may hurt people's feelings,
Oh, no.
but I have been through the Privy Council myself, Larry Marshall Jr., the Marshall family, and others who were part of the conscription battle. And knowing how we were railroaded about a human rights issue.
Mm,
And I'm going to explain to you why sometimes, I don't rely on man to give me justice. And I don't believe man should be legislating love. But at times we have to do what we believe in. And I want to send some words of encouragement to people on both sides.
hmm
Because not everyone who disagrees is a hateful person. Let me be clear with that.
mm,
But those who are fighting it, you're courageous. It takes a lot to go
yeah.
up against a system, regardless of what you're fighting. It takes a lot. I know this. One of the things I was talking to Larry Marshall Sr. about recently is his mother passed before she got to see conscription come to an end. My hope is that if this was your fight, if this was something that you went ahead with against the government and you lost, don't let it break you. If it's something you believe in, keep going, keep pushing.
Yeah.
If you win, you may be the catalyst for others out there who want to fight for what they believe in. But one thing I've learned is the decision of people in a courtroom is not reflected in the consciousness of our community.
hmm
Sam kept plays for you, Sherry.
No matter your beliefs, to me, it means that whatever relationships folks choose, they can make legal decisions freely regarding their significant others. Definitely.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if the government loses this, it can easily be a push towards independence.
hmm
It can easily be a push towards independence, saying, "Look, we had a non-binding. It was non-binding referendum. Non-binding referendum. The majority of people who voted in that said they didn't want marriage of the same sex.
hmm
Britain's now telling you you're going to have it if that's the case.
Right.
So they can say, this is why we need to go independent. Now, if it's on the other foot, right, and the government wins and others lose, the people pushing for right to marry of the same sex, if they lose, what does it mean? What does it say about our community?
hmm
Maybe, just maybe, this gives you all the motivation or inspiration to get politically involved and make sure that the next election that comes into Bermuda, the next election that takes place in Bermuda, you decide it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know all about it.
And I think what's important though, Jamal, is to, for others to take the emotion out of it. And I think what you're saying is right in regards to it's a fight for what you believe in. But I feel like a lot of people get caught up in the emotion and the other stuff behind it, if I'm making any sense.
I got you. I got you. We have David Michael Wilson said, seems like Bermuda's highest judicial body, the Privy Council's Judicial Committee, sided with the government of Bermuda's appeal and delivered a disappointing defeat to Bermuda's marriage plaintiffs and out Bermuda. Wow. See, David, we didn't catch it all. We just caught the end, and they went into Cayman Islands. But if true, the words he's using, a disappointing defeat, is right.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at the UK, if true, when you look at the UK, I think it was Mr. The gentleman, I think his last name is Belvedere, was took something to the governor last year regarding the pandemic. And she said she'll review. All weekend, I've been doing research about Bermuda, research. And it was the 1968 Constitution where pretty much that's when the governor's rule became ceremonial. Britain said it's over to you. Yes, they've made decisions for Bermuda recently. They have, I believe, Britain were the ones that ended the death penalty, because I'm not quite sure Bermudians, the majority of Bermudian members of parliament wanted it at the time. So there are times they rule, overrule us.
Yes.
But this would be interesting, because one of the things that I want the audience to know, one of the reasons we thought we would be successful in the Privy Council, not Bermuda's court, maybe not the Court of Appeal, but when it came to conscription, the reason we were confident that we would win is because they didn't have conscription in the UK. And I think maybe I could be wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't like speaking for others, but maybe some who were part of this right to marry for same-sex couples, right, or out Bermuda, maybe they may have felt, well, it's legal in the UK, they're going to side with us, because that was a mistake we made in Bermudians Against the Draft, thinking, well, they outlawed conscription decades ago in the UK, they're going to side with us. Was it a blow? Yes, it was a blow. It's a huge blow. And I tell you this here, if the case was ruled in favor of government, we lost our Privy Council case. They ruled against us in May of 2010. It took 8 years. In June of 2018, when the Honorable former Minister Wayne Keynes delivered, and the House of Assembly passed legislation to end conscription. The Marshall family, and I'm going to be very frank, still paying a $250,000 bill today for legal fees.
Wow.
And that's the risk that people take when they stand for something and they believe in something. So if that's the case, Sherry, it's not the end.
No, and what I want people to take away from it, or the audience to take away from this, is again the fight for what you believe in, and sticking to the course. And if that's what you believe in, then continue to do and fight for that. But just take out your own, if you're watching this, take out your own beliefs on it and stick to what the fight is.
Yes, and so it has been confirmed. It has been confirmed that the Privy Council has ruled in favor of the government of Bermuda. The Judicial Committee of the Privy Council has ruled against equal marriage in Bermuda and Cayman Islands, as per LGBT Marriage News. LGBT marriage taken away from Bermuda, where it's been in effect since 2018. Both will now have civil partnerships only. So they'll get civil partnerships. People, what are your thoughts about the results? Leanna, let's bring Leanna in real quickly, if she doesn't mind. I just want to bring Leanna. Let's wait. Let's just see if Leanna's ready to come into the conversation. Give me the thumbs up. I'm not going to bring her in, but if she's ready to come in and to report on it, I'll bring her in. But folks, what are your thoughts on the Privy Council's ruling? Now, here's the thing that bothered me about people with this case, Sherry. People. A lot of people start complaining about the cost that the government spent. Here's my response to anyone who complained about the cost, about the government taking this to the Privy Council. Shut up. Shut up.
Why they need a shut up, Jabal?
Because the hypocrisy of it is just stunning to me. Stunning to me. Stunning to me.
Do we want to make a comparison into 2 years of pandemic and the money used? Stunning
to me. At the end of the day, Nobody was complaining when the government was fighting Bermudians against the draft all the way to the Privy Council. We didn't have any private donors like out Bermuda, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So while this news may be disappointing for some, at the end of the day, the government, they're going to believe that they were justified by this ruling being in their favor.
Yeah.
They're going to say, oh, we were well within our rights to take it this far. But let's not complain about money when it comes to some and not all. Let's not do that. What are your thoughts on the Privy Council ruling? Danica Butterfield says disappointing. She's disappointed. We're going to talk more about this. Let's bring Leanna in for the conversation. Don't forget, we have Out Bermuda coming tomorrow. This, folks, I say this and I mean it from my heart. Two people that are a part of this show, Larry Marshall Jr. and myself, we've been here. We've lost at the Privy Council. It's not the end. It's not the end.
Just keep the fight going. And I wouldn't even say fight, you know, but keep the passion behind what it is that you believe in, you know.
Sherry, you're right. Popularity doesn't determine right and wrong. If it did, Black people would still be enslaved, especially when we weren't a majority. Now, this is not a matter of who agrees or who disagrees. This is a matter of people on different sides who have different opinions. And I'm telling you, there was nothing. I mean, my own family, majority of my family didn't stand up for me with conscription. Friendships were changed. Keep pushing. Spring Leanna in. Good morning, Lee. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Dealing with this spring forward business, but you know what? I'm gonna leave it alone.
I feel you, Lee.
With that 1 hour you're losing, man. I mean,
yeah, I didn't realize how much it actually catches up with you, like especially on a Monday morning when you're getting up and you're trying to get ready, and you know, and it's dark outside, and not only that, it's the coldness has returned with a vengeance in Bermuda. So we're dealing with a lot. I would leave it like that.
Yeah. No, seriously. You all know I'm an early guy, but this morning was a struggle. I was expecting it from you guys. I'm like, please tell me they had the same trouble. And Sherry came, she's like, on and
Sherry this morning was just like, not today, Uncle, not today.
Yeah. They didn't want to deal with me. Lee, you've got some breaking news to share with us?
I do, and I am ready to deliver this message to you guys. So,
all right, Lee, over to you.
Thanks, Jamel and Sherry, and happy Monday to everyone that's tuned in with us this morning. I hope you all have adjusted or still adjusting like myself to the daylight savings hour we experienced yesterday and are getting ready for a cold week ahead. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, the verdict is in. Judges at the island's highest Court of Appeal have sided with the government in its battle to ban same-sex marriage. Now, we just heard that a majority of the Privy Council panel of 5 found in favor of the Attorney General of Bermuda. According to a report in the Royal Gazette, it came after 2 days of hearings in London more than a year ago on the case between the Attorney General of Bermuda and Rod Ferguson and others. The other respondents were Out Bermuda, Marilyn Jackson, Gordon Campbell, Sylvia Hayward Harris, and the Parlor Tabernacle of the Vision Church of Bermuda. Lord Reed, Lord Hodge, Lady Arden, Lord Sales, and Dame Victoria Sharp heard in February last year that the government's argument that same-sex marriage should be illegal and a counterclaim that a ban is against the Constitution. Now, a spokesperson for Out Bermuda said the judgment reverses previous decisions reached by Bermudian courts that declared same-sex couples may constitutionally marry in Bermuda, as they have now done since 2017. However, the Privy Council also made it clear that a future Bermuda government could, at the stroke of a pen, reinstate those human rights, end quote. In other news, the premier on Friday called on the community to unite in kindness after a week of tragedy and in light of a continuing challenges facing the country. Now, he was speaking last Friday on the day when a baby sadly died after a car plunged into the waters of Shark Hole in Hamilton Parish, and the day after 2 people were wounded in a shooting at Devonshire Recreational Club, and in the same week that former politician Darius Tucker was found dead in his work van in Marginal Wharf in St. George's. Now, addressing MPs and the community at large during closing remarks in the House of Assembly last Friday, Premier David Byrd said, quote, "We have certainly had a week of tragedy. During this tragedy where there is so much pain and loss inside of the community, we have had to be leaders in the community in hugging, consoling, working with, and comforting families who are dealing with unimaginable loss," end quote. And the island's firefighters had their hands full over the weekend as they were called out to extinguish multiple blazes. Now, fire crews were called to a report of a fire in a building in Pembroke on Saturday night at Uppington Crescent in Pembroke. A total of 8 firefighters responded to the structural fire, with crews being met with dark, thick smoke which was flowing out of the basement door on the eastern side of the building. The fire was found and quickly extinguished. However, the cause of the fire is still unknown and presently being investigated by Bermuda Fire and Rescue Services fire investigator. Now, there were no injuries due to the fire. Then they extinguished a fire on Tamarisk Hill on North Shore in Smiths yesterday afternoon. Fire crews saw one bobcat fully involved in flames. Fire crews quickly extinguished the flames. The cause of the fire is under investigation by a fire service investigator. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 65 and a low near 59 degrees. This weekend, we felt the return of Father Winter as temperatures drop significantly. Now, it will be a cloudy start to the morning with a chance of a passing shower. However, sunny spells are to shine through later on. High pressure continues to build in from the west with mostly dry weather. However, cloud cover persists, while passing showers cannot be ruled out as weak low-level convergence moves into the area through Tuesday. Thereafter, the departure front retrogresses towards the island with the threat of further cloudy skies and wet weather, more so on Thursday. Cooler temperatures begin to rebound towards the midweek. That's all for our daily hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Now let's head back to Jamal and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Lee. Sherry, what you got for us days of the year?
You guys are going to be excited about today. It is National Napping Day, and it's the perfect day to help you recuperate from the spring forward. So don't feel guilty about it, because it's said that napping is more powerful and proven to be better for you than coffee and energy drinks. So don't feel guilty about taking a nap today. I'm taking advantage of this today.
I need to, let me just get off at least an hour early so I could get home and get under a blanket.
But
Yeah.
what the coincidence of a day like this is just stunning, right?
Mhm.
Hey,
Yeah.
And I'm
everything
all here
happens
for
for a
it.
reason.
right. Lee, we'll see you tomorrow, sister.
Thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
All righty, Leanna Lambert there with the news break. Folks, we're going to get back to the conversation. What are your thoughts on the Privy Council's ruling in favor of the government of Bermuda's appeal against same couples marrying in Bermuda? Yeah, Traveling Trotty says shocking ruling. I'm not quite sure. Explain what's so shocking about it. Nothing about this ruling shocks me. Honestly, it doesn't shock. And I only say that, I'm not saying it shouldn't be shocking to anyone else. I just want to understand why it's shocking to you, because it's
Well,
only not shocking to me because I've been through there.
right.
That's
This
why
is
I'm
what I
saying
was
it's not
saying.
shocking to
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
my experience is different, but why isn't it shocking to you all, if anyone's shocked? But what are your thoughts on today's ruling? We're going to take a quick break and we will be back after this break. You want to be a part of this conversation. It's a community conversation. It doesn't just impact those who are seeking to marry of the same sex. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors. And not to mention the support stockings.
Karen, Miss Soltis bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendytown Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
This month, John Barrett and Son bring us a premium thirst quencher from North Carolina, the Blue Ultra Purified Water. Many other bottled waters use reverse osmosis to reach an acceptable level of purity. Le Bleu uses a 5-step purification process, which includes fractional vapor compression, distillation, and ozonation, assuring purity and a unique, appealing flavor. Consumer testimony repeatedly praises the taste of Le Bleu compared to the other brands, and this, along with superior purity, makes Le Bleu a must-try. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindo's and People's Pharmacy. Folks, we're going to get right back to the conversation. And the question right now is, what are your thoughts on the Privy Council ruling in favor of the government of Bermuda's ban on same-sex couples marrying? We've got Michael Brayman who says it's a really bad look for the country. Is it a bad look? Is it? Why is it a bad look? Seriously, because when we look around the world, only 30 countries legally perform and recognize same-sex marriage as of 2022. So only 30, like, who is it a bad look for or to?
I'm taking it as it's a bad look in the sense of persons who would want to come here to Bermuda to get married. And that being not the case, therefore it being a bad look. You know, some people go to certain countries for certain things, and you know, it would have probably been in the best interest of Bermuda in that sense if you were looking to the economy wise, maybe, and maybe that's what he's speaking on. Maybe he had an answer.
No, honestly, I don't think that quite answers my question about it being a bad look, because I'm asking, you've got places like Dubai, which are kicking butt when it comes to tourism and business. They don't have legalized same-sex marriage in the United Arab Emirates, right? You've got places like Jamaica kicking butt, Cayman Islands kicking butt in every way, Bermuda and this Cayman Islands. They don't like what makes it a bad look. Honestly, I'm literally here trying to understand what makes it a bad look. At the end of the day, only 30 countries in the world, only 30 countries. Bermuda could have been 31. Only 30 countries allow same-sex marriage in their jurisdictions. I want to understand what's shocking. Why is it bad ruling? Help me out, because at the end of the day, I thought they had the victory in hand, even though I've been there. I should have known better. Traveling Trotty for you, Sherry.
With this ruling, I wonder if the cruise ships will move their registration to another country.
Why?
Interesting.
Cruise ships don't look, folks. People care about money, right? I may not have agreed with the Honorable Ewart Brown when he said something similar to this. Don't quote me exactly. But and all those shootings were happening in Bermuda back in 2009 on. And, he basically was like, no, it's not going to be a deterrent to tourism, and he named a certain country where they have murders literally by the minute. And people travel there for vacation all the time. I think we're thinking too much on this. Cruise ship registration, no, that's all about how much money they can make. If they're making their money, people are not in business for feelings. People are in business to make money.
Well, is she meaning registration when you go on a cruise ship, in regards to being married? Is that something that you have to do? You see what I'm saying? That if there is same-sex marriage, you can't get married in Bermuda or in the port of Bermuda
I
when
took
they're
it
traveling.
registration, like airlines registration. She could be. Clarify if she like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I think you have to have a special something to be married in the different ports. I could be wrong, but I think so. And maybe that's what she's referring to.
Yeah, could be. If you want to clarify, Traveling Trotty, what are your thoughts on the Privy Council ruling in favor of the government of Bermuda's ban on same-sex couples marrying? What are your thoughts, folks? What are your thoughts? Nicole Walker, she says, I'm surprised that the ruling was in favor of government's favor, given the progress in other jurisdictions. Didn't realize it was only 30 countries. Yeah, it's only 30 countries. I think what we have to realize, folks, we only know what we know based on the media that's before us. If the only news that we get drives a liberal agenda, and this is what we see, of course, we're going to think it's more than 30 countries, right? We're going to think that it's all of this progress being made. And some of the arguments is, why is progress always more liberal on that end in terms of what they believe? At the end of the day, I think the idea is, I'm not going to say I was shocked, but I thought that they were going to win. I did. I did. I thought, Sherry, I
did too. And I'm gonna take it from, the government political whatever, that it is nothing new. It is something that has, as you said, 30 countries, certain parts of the US, all of that kind of stuff. I'm thinking of the human right element of it all, in regard to, like, okay, why not? It's not like we're the first. All of those kind of things is kind of where I'm at, and it's like, it to me is dumb. Like, I don't know. It's dumb.
I don't know. I just think marriage is about the government being your business, but I think the idea that there are certain things that come with it legally, and I think that's all people want. They just want, they want to be able to have those same privileges. I don't think it's a matter of it's not what people think. Some people think same-sex marriage and it's just sex. It's not that. I think people just want
Jamal.
simple, like, folks, and I can relate because I've been there. This is not whether I agree or disagree with people's right to marry. It's none of my business. Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. Look, in 2022, and this is my opinion, you don't have to agree. I just really believe there are bigger fish to fry, bigger things to worry about. So I don't even, think, as I said to Sherry before we came on, I'm not quite sure Bermudians even care about people wanting to marry who they want at this stage. I don't think it's one of the issues that's at the forefront. People are trying to eat right now.
Yeah. And with that being said, Jamal, I feel the same way. Like, a partner just wants to be able to get health insurance for the other partner, or they may want to adopt a child, and it's just all of those parts. And I'm glad that you said it's not just about having sex. It's not about all of that. It's about all of the other things that are taken into consideration when you are married.
That's why I frame it couples wanting to marry, not same-sex marriage, because the idea of sex, I think that's what people can separate. Traveling Charlie said, yes, Sherry, that's she what you explained, that's what she meant.
Okay.
Sam, that plays for you.
Don't overthink it. Money talks regarding the cruises. Religion over anything has definitely taken precedence. So, yeah.
Karen Simmons, how does this ruling affect the couples who married up until this time? Will the marital status be amended? The community issue is far-reaching and affects so many aspects of people's lives. I would think that their marriages would be valid if they got them in a time when it was legal, right? Like, if let's say Bermuda went independent tomorrow, I'm pretty sure the Bermudian, and I'm just saying, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I'm pretty sure Bermudians who live in the UK wouldn't be kicked out because they moved there during a time when they had the right to move there. I don't think it just changes like that, right?
My laughter is when she said, does its status change? Could you imagine how many married couples, like, if marriage was changed right now, I could be single and not worry about anything. That's why I laugh.
Yeah.
But, let's take it a step further, Jamal. When someone dies, who has the right to make decisions about them after the
Mm.
fact is
Mhm.
another key thing that we tend to, forget about in certain situations. If people have had turmoil with their family over this all of these years and they've been with this one partner for 20 years, who has decisions? If you're
Mhm.
not married, that family that you had
Yeah.
turmoil with all of this time. So it's certain things
But,
that
but,
you
but, but goes take a step back before there's even death. Let's say someone's in the hospital and
yeah.
like just making decisions on their behalf. You might know what they want, right? They've
Mhm.
told you what they want, and the family members like, well, this person has no right. They don't have the legal right to rule over it. So yeah, it's deep, Sherry.
Yeah. It's
It's
all
deep.
of those things.
Yeah, we've got don't forget we have the members spokesperson for Out Bermuda joining us tomorrow. So we're going to be figuring out what the next steps are. We will talk with them. What are the next steps? I will say to people, when we lost in Privy Council, our fight to end conscription in Bermuda, when we lost in the Privy Council, it wasn't the end.
Mm-hmm.
Our strategy, we believed in what we were trying to do. And what we did, okay, we lost through the courts, Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, and then the Privy Council. Our next step was make some inroads politically, call for a no vote campaign, or create your own political party, or you just keep going public, create a platform to educate people, and keep pushing.
And this is the part, Jamal. Okay, so it's the part in the fight that people figure out, are they hanging on and pushing forth, or they're just like, you know what, enough's enough. I
Sure,
give.
you're right, because it's tiresome.
Yeah, and
It's a
people will
battle.
find out in that group who's going to push forward with them, or say, look, I'm good.
Oh, we found out. We found out. No, and she's right though, folks. Like what Shara is saying is, you really find out who's down for the cause when you lose.
Mhm. Yes.
You know what they say? You learn, you build more character when you lose, right? Because you find out, your resolve. How are you going to respond to being down?
Mm-hmm.
All those losses, and we kept pushing. Don't let the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party and their supporters make you believe that their 2012 loss had nothing to do with Bermudians against the draft. They can tell you a lot of stuff. I sat in Premier Paula Cox's office 3 months before December 2012. Ask her about that conversation.
I hope you weren't a grumpy uncle. You're on mute, sir. Yeah, I see what happens when you're being rude. I could read your lips. I don't think we could hear you, Jamal, because you're on mute. Wow. Jamal's going on mute, and I think he's lost some light and something happened to him. But I'll be interested to find out what happened in Paula Cox's office. I'll be interested to find out if, she gave him any licks that he probably deserved at the time, and what that conversation was all about. In addition to, yeah, we heard but we can hear you, Jamal. This is hilarious. This is probably payback for everything that Jamal's done to me. I hope he hears this. Everything that Jamal's done to me, this was the moment right here.
Hey, technical difficulties, folks. Technical difficulties. Don't worry
But
about
what I did say was that, it would be interesting to find out what that conversation was between the two of you. And what was the passion behind it.
Shanna Smith says, in case memorialize your wishes through wills, healthcare proxies, advanced directives. Hey, folks, you got to take that. Yeah, my apologies, traveling Charlie. What happened in that office? What happened? Well, no, pretty much. Folks, to be very honest with you, I'll tell you what happened. Paula Cox, the Premier of Bermuda, the Honorable Premier of Bermuda at the time, said that, look, basically she's They're not moving on conscription. Well, if you go back to the beginning, and I'm telling you the light version because I have a lot of love and respect for her, and I've had conversations with the last 5 premiers, and some things must remain private. But basically, she said, they're not moving forward. If you remember, leading up to the 2012 election, she said there will be a mandate to end conscription. My point is for out Bermuda is you believe in your cause, you go to those politicians, you put pressure on your MPs if you believe in it. Or
yes,
as Sherry said, you could just say, you know what, it's not worth it. I fought the good fight. I'm done. I'm gotta go live my life. It's on you. How much do you believe? Because let's be honest, we didn't have to keep fighting conscription,
No.
But we did because we believed in it. The amount of people, even politicians, a certain former colonel, when they say things like, oh, why you went through the courts, you could have just came and got your name up, because it wasn't about us as individuals. It was about a law that was wrong.
And it was about generations.
Absolutely. Folks, the question is, what are your thoughts on the Privy Council ruling in favor of the government of Bermuda? What are your thoughts on the Privy Council's ruling in favor of the government of Bermuda on banning same-sex couples marrying? Like, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is a bad move? Do you think it upheld what the majority of Bermudians feel? What are your thoughts? I'm really looking forward to the conversation with Mr. Adrian Hartley Beasley tomorrow, because they fought a good fight, a long fight. Not many people can relate. Sherry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say it will be interesting to find out if persons decide that, this in regards to the fight, are we going to just pack up and go to somewhere that is conducive for the lifestyle that we like to live? So it'd be interesting to find out how that moves forward. And that too is in a conjunction with, are we still keeping up the same fight?
Yeah. Well, you make an interesting point, Sherry, because is this going to be a catalyst for people to leave Bermuda? What does the business community think? This is why I said this would be a landmark ruling for Bermuda. A landmark ruling, because it could mean a lot of things. Talent TJ Clark says it's difficult to approach MPs when the party ran on the fact that they go against same-sex marriage. No, Talent. Let me tell you, in the words of Larry Marshall Sr., the man who put his livelihood, his family on the line to end conscription in Bermuda, in his words, quote, 5 years is a very short time in politics, end quote. They may have ran on that in the last election or the election before that. But demographics of voters change. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Over time. And I just tell you, brother, if they know that this issue is the difference between them being elected again and not being elected, positions change. That's how conscription ended. Politicians changed. There was no Terry Lister in 2017. There was no Dame Jennifer Smith. Right? There was no Dr. Ewart Brown, no Honorable Paula Cox. There were new politicians there. Younger ones who understood our cause. So keep that in mind. People change. Politicians change. Kelly Clark Madeira says really disappointing and embarrassing. For who, though? Again, only 30 countries. Only 30 countries. Again, are our beliefs based on what we believe, what we see in the media? Only 30 countries. She goes on to say, Kelly Clark Madeira, we just lost a lot of business. But did we? Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar. They're doing well. Brilliant. The Cayman Islands, the same ruling on the same day as Bermuda. Beating our butts. Are we thinking that through this too much? I'm not disagreeing with you, Kelly Clark Madeira. I'm simply asking the questions. I'm asking the questions. Because if we turned a blind eye to modern day slavery in Bermuda, Bermudians, of course the world would turn a blind eye to whether Bermuda allows couples of the same sex to marry if they believe that they're getting what they want out of it.
Right.
This has nothing to do with feelings.
And it ruled for civil partnership, meaning that they, okay.
Yeah. But again, civil partnerships don't guarantee what marriage does.
Mm-mm.
Talent TJ Clark says, I understand, but it's hard to go against the party platform when it goes to their base of Christian voters. Religious impacts votes more. I hear you. But again, demographics change. And again, the people who voted in 2020 and 2017, believe it or not, some of them are no longer here. The population is changing.
And views are changing.
Views change. Look, people are evolving.
Yeah.
People are evolving. So here's my, be encouraged, man. Be encouraged. Trust me, even when we were playing football as children, we lost 15-0 before we won 15-0. Trust me. But Sherry, I understand.
No, you've been there.
How people may feel. I get it. It's expensive. We didn't have donors. Let me be clear. When we fought conscription, we did not have donors. In fact, the government probably had donors because we were 14 black men. Black men are not supposed to be challenging a system. We didn't have a diverse group of people fighting for something they believed in. We were 14 black men who were told by black and white people alike, just go do your time. Follow the law. I've never said that about people of the same sex who want to marry.
Right.
You know why? I actually have a lot of respect for them for doing what they're doing. Why? I've said this on the show and I'll say it again. The late Ronnie Smith, pastor of First Church of God, Angle Street, when I was arrested at my job for not complying and going to Warwick Kemp, he said to me, came around when I was out, he said the next day, he says, Kamal, as he called me, it was Jamal. It's a J, folks. It's a J. Says Kamal, most people who disagree with you have never and will never fight for a thing in their life. End quote. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's end it on this. Sam Cat Plays says, why is there so much fear mongering? Money talks. Businesses may be inclusive, but it's not going to stop them from doing business where it works for their model. Stop confusing the issue. Thank you. Thank you, Sam Cat Plays. And I think that's to the comment saying it's going to cost Bermuda business or tourists. It's not.
Right.
It's not. Honestly, I want to agree with you, but it's not.
Yeah.
People go where they can make the most money. Businesses, like she said, may be inclusive. But if their business model works in Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Jamaica, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, where they don't allow same-sex marriage, that's where they're going to go. We may disagree with it because of our emotions, but business is not based on feelings, folks. I've had to learn this. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back to wrap it up. Daily Play coming up as well. Stick with us. Stick with us. What a day to be Bermudian. Landmark ruling from the Privy Council ruling in favor of the government of Bermuda's ban on couples of the same sex marrying. Stick with us. Be right back to wrap it up.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All righty. Thanks again to One Communications, People's Pharmacy, Medicals, Lindos for their unwavering support of what we do. These conversations are not easy, folks. They're not.
No.
They're not easy. But for the sake of the community, we have them. Time for the Daily Play brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Sherry, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. It's a Who Said It, folks. This is a great civil rights leader. Quote, to bring about change, you must not be afraid to take the first step, end quote.
Mandela. Martin Luther King.
Who was it, folks? Quote, to bring about change, you must not be afraid to take the first step, end quote.
Malcolm X.
It was a woman.
Woman?
Yep.
A woman. Not Rosa Parks, was it?
She got it, folks. She got it. It was Rosa Parks. He said, quote, to bring about change, you must not be afraid to take the first step. And for those of supporters and those who are part of Bermuda and those who have taken this case to the Privy Council, my friends, it's not the end. Seriously. It's not about whether people agree with you or disagree. Consciously, if you believe in your cause, you keep going. You push on. Kelly Clark Madeira, she says, I know many people who do not come here because of not feeling welcome here. The gay tourism dollar is huge, and being so close to the USA and Canada would make gay weddings a huge boost to the fallen tourism in Bermuda. But you're right, maybe that's not the priority. I don't disagree with you. I understand it. When I was working in tourism, I understood how much money is in there. I get it. There are people who don't go many places because of many things. What I'm saying is, and it could have been a huge opportunity for Bermuda. I'm not going to dismiss that.
Right.
It could have been a huge opportunity. Huge opportunity.
But what you're saying is not to focus on that. That is other things that can be huge opportunities for Bermuda. My thoughts on it all is that it's just going to be interesting to see how Bermuda moves forward. It's going to be very interesting to see how the group moves forward in regards to their fight and what they believe in. And as you said, I can just continue to say, stay encouraged and motivated to continue to follow through with what your belief is.
Yeah, indeed. Karen Simmons says, Jamal, I will state this in the open. Thank you and for the fight you did, because I was going to do some shady business to make sure my son did not go to the army.
I can't with Karen. I can't.
Well, no, thank you, Karen. Thank you. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. One of the hardest things about when you fight for a cause is the people who sit on the sidelines and watch you fight, even though they know they're going to benefit from it as well. When we were fighting, the amount of people that came to us in town, like even times we were outside a court after a frustrating court appearance. Yes, enough respect. Yeah, you guys are doing a thing. Yeah, I'm just waiting to see what happens with you guys. So basically, you're using our fight to benefit, but you ain't gave $1 to a cause. You ain't bought a t-shirt. You ain't, that's the only support. It's tough when you know that people are that selfish. I'll say, let me say this on today's ruling. I mean, I've said enough, but I'll end it on this. I don't think that right and wrong is what most courts rule on. I don't. They rule based on whatever the law is. Keep that in mind. The law is not reflective of right and wrong. Seriously. Rulings are not reflective of right and wrong. I understand brother talent TJ Clark, but truthfully, folks, past elections do not necessarily reflect upcoming elections.
Right.
If you want that change, you have to go a different route now. And that route is to put pressure. Because I'll say this as I wrap up. Both governments handled the issue cowardly. And that's why this was in the courts anyway. because both governments failed to give you what they wanted. At least the PLP, Bermuda Progressive Labour Party, took a stance, right? But let me just say this one last thing on it. She was an OBA member. I think she actually represented them in an election one time. And she said on Facebook that I think conscription should come down to a referendum. And I said, how dare you say the rights of me should come down to people who are not at risk of being conscripted? Why do I say that? If the enslavement of Black people was up to a referendum, slavery as we've been taught to know it would have never ended.
Yeah.
The rights of individuals and people should not be up to the unconscious population. It's not a matter of popularity. It's a matter of conscience. Sherry, we will be having Out Bermuda on to speak about this result tomorrow.
Yeah.
You've got some daily inspiration before we head out?
I do. Being vulnerable is a strength and not a weakness. And that's from Selena Gomez.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And when you take up on a fight like this, you're definitely putting yourself in a vulnerable position. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, please do make it a safe and great day. Heads up.
Bye.